Inner child, this is your last battle. Don't give up now. Carl Jung on emotional growth. Have you ever felt it? A phantom limb of your own past, aching in the present moment. A sudden, inexplicable wave of sadness on a perfectly fine day. A flash of irrational anger that leaves you bewildered. A pattern of self-sabotage that feels like a curse you cannot break. We dismiss these moments as moods, as quirks, as just the way we are. But what if they are not random noise? What if they are echoes? Echoes from a forgotten room, deep within the architecture of your own soul. This is the central mystery of the human heart. We live our adult lives in the sunlit upper floors of our consciousness, managing careers, relationships, and responsibilities. Yet beneath our feet, in the foundations of our being, a child still lives. A child we were forced to leave behind. This is not merely a sweet metaphor for nostalgia. For the great cartographer of the soul, Carl Jung, this inner child is a living, breathing psychic reality, an archetype of immense power, holding both our most profound wounds and our greatest potential for wholeness. And it is crying out, this is the source of the ache, the unexplained sorrow, the destructive patterns. It is a child, your child, who has been left alone in the dark for far too long. Many of us have tried to silence it, to reason with it, to ignore it, hoping it will simply grow up and go away. But it never does. And now you find yourself at a precipice. The old ways of coping no longer work. The distractions have lost their power. You have a sense, deep in your bones, that you are approaching a final confrontation. This is a key moment in your emotional growth journey. Our journey today is not about a simple trick for happiness. It is a descent. We are going to find the key to that forgotten room. We will walk down the long, dusty corridors of the psyche and stand before a locked door. Together, we will turn the key and face what lies within. For this is the inner child's last battle, not a battle of conquest, but of reunion. And it is a battle you must not lose, because its outcome will define the rest of your life. Don't give up now. The homecoming is closer than you think. Number 1. The echo in the halls, unveiling the inner child archetype. Our journey begins not in the personal, but in the universal. To understand the inner child, we must first look beyond our own biography to the bedrock of the collective unconscious. Carl Jung did not invent the inner child. He discovered it, as an astronomer discovers a star that has been shining for eons. He called it the divine child archetype. Imagine for a moment a pristine, uncarved block of marble. It contains within it the potential for every statue ever conceived, the hero, the sage, the lover, the king. This block of marble is the archetype. It is a pre-existing universal pattern of potential. The divine child is the archetype of all beginnings, of all futures. It represents renewal, vulnerability, helplessness, and a powerful drive towards self-realization. It is the part of us that is eternally connected to the possibility of what we could become. It is the seed of our own wholeness, planted in the soil of our soul at birth. This divine child is born with us. In our earliest moments, it is us and we are it. We are pure potential, pure presence. We feel joy, fear, comfort, and pain with an intensity that is absolute, unmediated by logic or reason. The world is a place of unfiltered magic and terror. This is the universal inheritance of every human being. The memory of this state, this Eden of unfiltered being, is what gives fairy tales and myths their enduring power. The lost prince, the abandoned baby who grows to be a hero. These are all stories of the divine child. But then life begins its work. The chisel of experience, the words of our parents, the rules of our society, the pain of our first heartbreaks, the sting of our failures begins to carve the marble. We learn that certain feelings are acceptable and others are not. We learn that spontaneity can be dangerous, that vulnerability can lead to pain, that our true, unfiltered selves are perhaps too much for the world around us. This is where the universal divine archetype is personalized into our inner child. For our own survival, both physical and social, we begin to make a terrible but necessary choice. We lock away the parts of ourselves that were not welcomed. The sensitive boy who was told to man up locks away his tenderness. The creative girl who was told to be practical locks away her imagination. The boisterous child who was told to be quiet locks away their joy. This is not a conscious act. It is a survival strategy of the young psyche. We build a room deep in the unconscious and place this vulnerable, authentic part of ourselves inside. We turn the key, walk away, and try to forget. We build a new persona on top of it, the adult, the one who is capable, reasonable, and in control. This adult self is the statue carved from the marble. It can be beautiful, strong, and successful. But it is by its very nature incomplete. It is a life lived in exile from a core part of its own being. The echo in the halls of our adult life is the sound of that exiled child, reminding us that a part of our soul is still waiting to be reclaimed. Understanding this is the first step in the profound process of healing the inner child. Number 2. The guardian at the gate, the shadow of the inner child. Now we arrive at a deeper door in our descent. We know the child is there, locked away. The impulse is to rush in, to throw open the door and rescue it. But as we approach, a figure steps out from the shadows. It is formidable, armed not with swords, but with logic, cynicism, and fear. This is the guardian at the gate. This guardian is the shadow aspect of our healing journey. It is crucial to understand that this is not an external enemy. The guardian is us. It is the sum total of all the coping mechanisms, defenses, and survival strategies we built to protect ourselves after we locked the child away. It is the perfectionist who says, "If I am flawless, I will never be hurt again." It is the cynic who says, "If I expect nothing, I will never be disappointed again." It is the people pleaser who says, "If I make everyone happy, I will never be abandoned again." This guardian was born of necessity. It was the architect of our survival. It helped us navigate a world that felt unsafe for our vulnerable, authentic self. We must approach it not with aggression, but with profound respect and compassion. It has done its job tirelessly for decades, standing watch over the door to our deepest pain. The problem is that its job is now obsolete. The world of the adult is not the same as the world of the child. The dangers it protected us from are mostly gone. But the guardian doesn't know this. It operates on old programming, mistaking new opportunities for old threats. It mistakes intimacy for a threat of engulfment. It mistakes vulnerability for a guarantee of humiliation. It mistakes creative risk-taking for certain failure. Its voice is the one we often mistake for our own rational mind. When you think about starting a new project, and a voice says, "Don't bother, you'll probably fail," that is the guardian. When you feel a surge of affection for someone, and a voice whispers, "Be careful, don't get too attached," that is the guardian. When you have a chance to speak your truth, and a voice screams, "Stay quiet, don't make waves," that is the guardian. The last battle of the inner child is, in many ways, a battle with this guardian. But it is not a battle of annihilation. You cannot defeat it with force, because it is a part of your own strength. Trying to fight it is like trying to punch your own immune system. Instead, the task is to renegotiate its contract, to have a dialogue with it. We must approach this powerful aspect of ourselves and say, "Thank you. Thank you for keeping me safe for so long. Your strength, your vigilance, your intelligence, they have brought me this far. But I am an adult now. I have resources you couldn't dream of. The world is different. The battle is over. You do not need to stand guard anymore. I am here to relieve you of your post." This is a terrifying prospect for the guardian. Its entire identity is based on this protective role. To let go of it feels like death. It will resist. It will flood you with anxiety, with doubt, with all the old stories of why it is unsafe to feel, to love, to be seen. The common misconception is that healing is about feeling good. In this stage, healing is about learning to tolerate the immense discomfort of the guardian's fear, without letting it control your actions. It's about feeling the fear of vulnerability and choosing to be vulnerable anyway. It is this compassionate confrontation that allows the guardian to finally, slowly step aside, allowing us to at last approach the door it has guarded for so long. This is a critical stage in Carl Jung's concept of emotional growth. Number 3. The ghost in the machine, how the unseen child runs our lives. As the guardian begins to soften its watch, we become aware of a more subtle but pervasive influence. We begin to see how the unseen child is not merely a passive prisoner, but an active, powerful force in our daily existence. It is the ghost in the machine of our adult life, pulling levers and pushing buttons from behind the scenes, directing our emotions, decisions, and relationships in ways we rarely comprehend. This is where the journey moves from the abstract to the intensely personal. Look at your life, at the patterns you cannot seem to break. Consider the high-achieving executive. She is brilliant, respected, and outwardly unflappable, but when a junior colleague offers a minor critique of her proposal in a meeting, she feels a surge of white-hot rage, followed by a crushing wave of shame. The adult mind tries to rationalize it. He was disrespectful, or I'm just stressed. But the truth lies deeper. The ghost in her machine is a little girl who felt her worth was conditional on being perfect for a demanding parent. Any perceived flaw was a sign of being not good enough, which felt like a threat to her very survival. The colleague's critique wasn't just a critique. It was a psychic echo of that original wound. The child within is screaming, "I'm not perfect. They'll stop loving me." Or think of the man who falls in love with the same type of emotionally unavailable partner, again and again. Each time, he believes it will be different. He pours his energy into trying to win their affection, to fix them, convinced that his love can heal their wounds. Rationally, he knows it's a destructive pattern, but the ghost in his machine is a little boy whose parent was consumed by their own struggles, addiction, depression, overwork, and was physically present, but emotionally absent. The boy learned that love means constant, desperate striving for a connection that is never quite reciprocated. As an adult, his inner child is still running that program, unconsciously seeking out partners who recreate that familiar dynamic, hoping that this time he can finally get the love he never received. He is not choosing a partner, he is choosing a scenario. This is what Jung meant when he said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Our unresolved inner child wounds are not just memories, they are active scripts. The child is not trying to sabotage us. It is trying to heal itself in the only way it knows how, by compulsively repeating the original traumatic situation, desperately hoping for a different outcome. It's as if it's staging the same play over and over, praying that one day the actors will change their lines and the tragic ending will become a happy one. This manifests everywhere. Procrastination can be the fear of a child whose creative efforts were criticized. An inability to set boundaries can come from a child who learned that their needs were an inconvenience to others. Chronic anxiety can be the baseline state of a child who grew up in an unpredictable or chaotic environment. Imposter syndrome is often the voice of a child who was told they were not as smart or capable as a sibling. Seeing these patterns is the third crucial stage of our journey. It requires a radical kind of honesty. It means looking at our most painful behaviors not as character flaws, but as symptoms. The ghost is not malicious. It is simply lost, and it is making a great deal of noise in its attempts to be found. Recognizing its influence in our daily lives is how we begin to draw a map back to the room where it is hidden. It is how we transform fate into choice. Number 4, the alchemy of tears, the philosophical implications of reunion. We have identified the child, we have met its guardian, and we have seen its ghostly influence in our lives. Now, our journey takes us to the philosophical heart of the matter. What is the ultimate purpose of this reunion? It is not simply to feel better or to fix our dysfunctional patterns. The purpose is far grander. It is an act of spiritual alchemy. Ancient alchemists sought to turn base metals like lead into gold. This was always understood by mystics like Jung, not as a literal chemical process, but as a profound metaphor for the transformation of the human soul. In this metaphor, our pain, our trauma, our unhealed wounds, these are the lead. They are heavy, dark, and considered worthless by the outside world. Society tells us to get rid of this lead, to hide it, to pretend it doesn't exist. The alchemical path, the path of deep psychological work, says the opposite. It says the lead is the most precious substance you possess. It is the prima materia, the raw material for your own gold. The reunion with the inner child is the central alchemical operation. When you, the conscious adult, finally stand before the door of that forgotten room and turn the key, you are beginning the process of solve et coagula, dissolve and coagulate. The dissolving happens in the moment of true contact. It is the moment you allow yourself to feel the child's original pain without judgment or analysis. The loneliness, the terror, the grief, the shame. This is the alchemy of tears. The tears you shed are not tears of self-pity. They are a sacred solvent, breaking down the rigid structures of your defenses, dissolving the hardened lead of your trauma. When you cry for the child you are washing away decades of unprocessed pain. You're telling that child, what happened to you mattered. Your pain was real. I see you. In that moment, the isolation of the past is broken. This act changes the very nature of your relationship to your own suffering. Pain is no longer a meaningless affliction or a sign of weakness. It becomes a sacred messenger, a compass needle pointing directly to the parts of your soul that have been abandoned. Each emotional trigger, each irrational reaction, is no longer a problem to be managed, but an invitation to go deeper, to find the part of you that is hurting and bring it into the light of your adult consciousness. After the dissolving comes the coagulating. This is the integration. As you bring the child's pain into your heart, you also begin to reclaim its lost gifts. The lead of its pain is transmuted into the gold of its true nature. The sensitivity of the child you had to suppress becomes the gold of your empathy and intuition as an adult. The untamed imagination you had to lock away becomes the gold of your creativity and vision. The spontaneous joy you had to quiet becomes the gold of your capacity for presence and wonder. This is the ultimate philosophical shift. You realize you are not broken and in need of fixing. You are disconnected and in need of reunion. The goal of this journey is not to become a perfect, invulnerable adult who has transcended all pain. The goal is to become a whole human being, one who has the capacity to hold their own vulnerability with immense strength, to embrace their own darkness with a compassionate light. This is the essence of Jung's process of individuation, becoming an undivided individual. The reunion with the inner child is the key that unlocks this process. It is how we stop living a life of coping and begin living a life of genuine, integrated wholeness. Number 5. Turning the key, the practical art of reparenting. Our journey now arrives at its most crucial and practical stage. We understand the theory, the philosophy, the stakes, but how do we actually turn the key and begin this alchemical reunion? The answer lies in an art form known as conscious reparenting. You, as the capable and compassionate adult you are today, must become the parent that your inner child needed, but perhaps never had. This is not about blaming your actual parents. It is about taking radical responsibility for your own inner world. This requires dedicated practice, using conceptual tools to build a bridge between your conscious mind and the unconscious realm where the child resides. The first tool is the dialogue of the soul, most commonly practiced through journaling. But this is a specific kind of journaling. It is not about recording the events of your day. It is about initiating a direct conversation. Take a pen and paper. With your dominant hand, write a question from your adult self to your inner child. It might be as simple as, "How are you feeling right now?" or "What do you need from me today?" or "Why did we get so angry earlier?" Then switch the pen to your non-dominant hand. This simple physical act helps to bypass the analytical, logical mind and access a more intuitive, primal part of the brain. Allow this hand to answer. Don't judge what comes out. It may be a single word, a scrawled drawing, a messy sentence full of emotion. The child might be angry, sad, scared, or even silent at first. The key is to listen with unwavering acceptance. Do this consistently, and you begin to build a channel of communication, a bond of trust, where there was once only a wall of silence. The second tool is the sacred witness, which is an application of mindfulness. Our default reaction to a painful feeling is to either act it out impulsively or suppress it immediately. The sacred witness offers a third path. The next time you feel a powerful emotional trigger, a surge of jealousy, a pang of abandonment, a wave of shame, do not react. Pause, breathe, turn your attention inward and locate the feeling in your body. Then ask a gentle question. Who is feeling this? Is this the 35-year-old me, or is this the 5-year-old me? More often than not, you will recognize the feeling as an echo from your past. In that moment, your job is not to fix the feeling, but to witness it with compassion. You mentally say to that part of yourself, "I am here with you. I know you are scared. I will not abandon you. We are safe." You become a calm, non-anxious presence for your own inner turmoil. This practice over time rewires the brain. It teaches the nervous system that these old feelings are no longer life-threatening. You are no longer a helpless child at their mercy. The third, and perhaps most powerful tool, is the sanctuary of the imagination, a practice adapted from Jung's method of active imagination. Find a quiet time and space. Close your eyes and visualize a place where you feel completely, utterly safe. It could be a forest glen, a cozy library, a beach at sunset. This is your inner sanctuary. Once you feel grounded there, invite your inner child to meet you. Imagine what they look like at the age they were most wounded. See them approach. Do not force anything. Simply be present with them. Perhaps they want to talk. Perhaps they just want you to sit with them in silence. Perhaps they need a hug. In your imagination, you can give them everything they never received. You can tell them, "You are loved, you are safe, you are perfect, just as you are. I will never leave you." This is not a pointless fantasy. The psyche communicates in the language of image and symbol. To the unconscious mind, this imagined act of love and repair is profoundly real. It is a way of rewriting the old scripts, of healing the past in the eternal present of the inner world. These tools, practiced with patience and sincerity, are the keys that will open the door. They are how you finally end the child's long exile and begin the journey home. Our descent is complete. We have walked the echoing halls of the past. We have met the fierce guardian at the gate. We have traced the ghostly patterns in our lives. We have understood the sacred alchemy of our pain, and we have been given the keys to unlock the final door. The inner child's last battle was never a war to be won, but a homecoming to be realized. It was not a fight against a flawed part of ourselves, but a courageous journey to reclaim the most authentic, vital, and luminous part of our own soul. The echoes you once heard as random noise now have a name. The phantom aches you felt now have a source. The destructive patterns you lamented now have a purpose. They were the desperate, clumsy attempts of a lost child to get your attention, to call you back home. When you commit to this reunion, something miraculous happens. The frantic energy of the ghost in the machine begins to settle. The guardian at the gate, relieved of its post, integrates its strength into your adult personality, becoming discernment instead of cynicism, boundaries instead of walls. And the child, finally seen, heard, and held, no longer needs to scream for attention through symptoms and self-sabotage. Its incredible life force begins to flow into your present. The world starts to regain its color. You begin to feel a capacity for simple joy that you thought was lost forever. Your creativity, no longer held captive by the fear of judgment, begins to blossom in unexpected ways. You find you can love with more openness, live with more presence, and stand in your own truth with a quiet, unshakable strength. This is not the end of the work. It is the beginning of a new way of living, a life of inner dialogue, of self-compassion, of wholeness. The child is no longer a prisoner in the basement, but a cherished companion, a source of wisdom, and a constant reminder of the magic that is your birthright. You have not given up. You have walked through the final battle, and you have won not by conquering, but by embracing. You have come home. The journey inward is the longest and most rewarding we can ever take. If the path we've explored today resonates with the silent call of your own soul, consider joining our community to continue this exploration. Subscribe, and together we will keep turning the keys to the deeper rooms within.